You're listening to the Hidden Killers podcast with Tony Brueski,
featuring attorney, guest, and former felony prosecutor Eric Faddis.
Lots and lots of civil cases against Diddy, in addition to that federal investigation that's going on into whatever was going on with Diddy. No charges officially against him yet, at least as of this recording, but God knows what's going to happen or when. Joining me to discuss, Eric Faddis, defense attorney, and former prosecutor. I got to ask you, one of the things I keep hearing and observed about the Diddy raid was that too much force for what we're talking about here? We're talking, high-end neighborhood, nice homes. They knew he wasn't in the property. Was it essential that they went in with the force that they did? Or why did they go in with the force that they did? Maybe the better question.
Tony, I think it was pretty common, the force that they used to execute that raid. When the FBI does a raid, especially, a large scale one, especially involving allegations like this, they're not going in, being gentle and making sure that everything is put in the right location. They're going in looking for evidence here, allegedly, we believe, of human trafficking. And so not surprised, how forceful that raid was. It's always unfortunate when they conduct a raid and don't find anything and tear up a person's entire home. We don't know if that's what happened here, but rather a common tactic that I've seen from the FBI.
When are we going to know more about what exactly they were looking for? In a lot of cases, we see the affidavits, the search affidavits and things like that come out. But we haven't really seen anything here. This is obviously a federal investigation, so I'm sure the timetable is a little bit different on that. But when does that come out? Does that ever come out? Or does it take this thing going all the way to charges against Diddy or getting to court before we find out more of that information specifically on what exactly they were looking for and also maybe what they found?
Yeah, usually when the FBI conducts a raid, really practically always, they have an inventory list of items that they seized. Now, that list isn't always made public. That's not always like a court filing that any person in the public can access. That's usually within the case in discovery. And some of those materials may be sealed due to the sensitive nature of this investigation. So I'm not sure we're ever going to see what they found in terms of what they were looking for. The search warrant and the affidavit in support of the search warrant can sometimes detail those things. My understanding is they were looking for electronic devices that record and other potential evidence associated with allegations that have been made against Diddy.
So probably looking for hard drives and things of that nature connected to some sort of security system or whatever they may have been taped on over the last 20 years, because some of these allegations, in the civil suits, they go back to the 1990s. I'm just thinking, we were kids, we were high school kids at that time. And to see...
You were a high school kid at that time.
That's true. Right? Yes. Yeah. Well, there you go. I don't know how I got old, but it is weird to think about. You're going to go and try and find this information, this data, but obviously if the allegations are true, he was holding this stuff over a lot of people's heads of, we got this on tape, so God knows all the people who have come and gone in there over that period of time. How difficult is it for an investigation like this that spans so many years? It's one thing, some of the allegations, more recent ones, happened in the last 2-3 years. The Rodney Jones, a lot of the allegations span basically since around 2020 for his own involvement there. But the allegations go far, far back. How difficult is that to get in and find those things? And how worried should he be? I guess it depends what he has stored.
Yeah, of course, as time goes on, it becomes more difficult to conduct an effective investigation. Evidence erodes, witnesses disappear, things like that. But here, one thing that they're probably doing is they're probably taking alleged victim allegations in terms of what happened. And they'll say, hey, it happened in this room. And this room was a large room, and there were 3 doors and a closet and a pool next door. And so they're going to diagram the place at Diddy's home and try to match up these reports with objective evidence that they're seeing. Now, in terms of like the digital evidence, oftentimes that stuff is recorded over as time goes by. But here, there are at least some reports suggesting that Diddy may have kept some recordings in part, like you said, to hold over the heads of other people.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't always work out perfectly either when people can recount the location. I'm thinking back to R. Kelly and the initial sex abuse case from, early 2000s, late 90s, it was around there, where there's literally a video of him in his like sauna room, which we've seen before, with his Soul Train award in the background as he is raping a minor. And he was still found innocent in that case initially. So, I mean, those sort of things, even when you have the video evidence, even when you have the accounts from people of here is the situation, obviously it didn't hold up there. I guess why does it not always hold up, even when it is? I mean, that was pretty rock solid evidence, and we all know what eventually took place.
Yeah, a lot of people who are not familiar with sex abuse allegations or the criminal justice system, they might see an allegation from the 90s that's just coming out recently. Mm-hmm. And they say, my gosh, why in the world wasn't this reported at the time? I've got to look at this skeptically, and they do. But what's common, especially with sex assault allegations, is a latent outcry. These folks, especially the ones who were truly abused, face a lot of backlash, and it makes their lives worse. That they have to revisit this trauma. And so, for the untrained eye, a person could say, "Oh, these old allegations. Why in the world are you just saying them now?" But there are reasons behind that are based on scientific studies for some of those valid outcries.
Sure, without a doubt. And we're in a very different place in time than we were back then in terms of people being able to come out and talk about these things. Sure. Very different.
Sick of the ads?
We are too.
Start listening with no commercials now and get access to all of our episodes in advance of everyone else.
Become a True Crime Today Premium Plus subscriber on Apple Podcasts.
Search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts or go to our podcast page and sign up now.
True Crime Today Premium Plus.
Sign up now.